In this part of the tutorial, we're going to add IDs to our design fields, so this is giving them a name. Now it's important to do so because they need to be aptly named, just like anything in code, so we know what we're talking about, and we need to refer to them when we actually write the code itself. So again, we're going to give each field, each of the four fields, so the two inputs, the button and the output, we're going to give them all a name and a placeholder so that if the app were to run, we would actually know what they do. Welcome back. In this part of the tutorial, we're going to add some names to these fields so that we can refer to them in the code itself. Because right now, all they are is layouts on this design. They don't actually have any kind of functionality, and we can't refer to them yet. So, once again in main.axml, and this is what we have so far, our two text inputs, our button, and our text output. Now if we click on any one of these, we'll notice in the bottom right corner there is the box named Properties. Now this contains all the properties. This is colors, what these fields might say, the names. We're going to look at ID for now, and notice how it says at +ID / edit text1. Right now it's called edit text1. I don't really like that name, so let's call it something more fitting. So because it's text, we'll start off with txt, and we can call this one cost, because that's what's going in our first input. We're going to first input the cost here, then the tip, then click on the button, and we'll have the final cost out here. So we've given this the name txt cost, and what we're going to do is, instead of writing text like this, we'll just have it as a hint or a placeholder so that when we actually go to type something ourselves, this disappears. So I'm going to get rid of this, and under the hint field, I'm just going to put in cost. So this is just kind of a placeholder. Notice how it was fainter than the previous text. This will disappear as soon as this field is clicked on to input something. Excellent, so let's move on to the second one. So this one, instead of edit text2, get rid of that, we'll call it txt tip, because that's what's going in that field, and we'll give it the hint tip. In fact, let's be even more specific. Let's say enter tip here. And for this one, I'm just going to go back to cost, and I'm going to say enter cost here. Again, this app is, much like most apps, are designed to be user-friendly, so we want to make things as simple and straightforward as possible. Now, I don't think button is an appropriate name for this, so let's first change the name. We'll say btn because it's button, and we'll call this the calculate button. And what do we want this to say? Let's say calculate meal cost, final cost. You know what? Let's say calculate total cost. There we go. Feeling indecisive. Alright, so our final change will be here. We'll change this to txt again because it's a text field, and we'll call this final cost, or total cost, keeping in line with the button. And as for text, we're going to get rid of this, and we're going to give it the placeholder final cost. So just like before, it has the placeholder, which will disappear once it's clicked on. Alright, so right now we have our four fields, the two inputs, the button and the output. We've given them names, and we've given them a little more functionality, so that when the app is run, we can actually tell what these fields are and what the button's going to do. In this part of the tutorial, we completed our design by adding IDs to each of the fields. So we gave each one an ID and a placeholder, so if we were to run the app right now, we would be able to tell exactly what to input in the field and exactly what the button does. So at this point you should be able to give names to each added field that you add to your design layout, and now we can call them from the code.